Meanwhile, a heavy, suffocating silence hung over the Shen Corporation building. Whenever the department heads came in to report, they were absolutely terrified, keeping as quiet as mice. People barely even dared to breathe. Shen Youchu had been wearing a dark, thunderous expression all afternoon. She was radiating pure ice. Just a moment ago, she had completely lost her temper, tearing a marketing proposal absolutely to shreds, leaving the entire floor in dead silence. Nobody dared to cross her. Ding! Shen Yuchu's phone buzzed with another text notification. She didn't even bother looking at it. She already knew it was just another charge from her sister and me shopping at the mall. Her expression darkened even more. She knew I had my own money, but she still wanted me to spend hers. And now that I finally was spending it, I was using it to take her little sister out shopping instead. She stared at the string of charges from women's clothing boutiques, a sharp, suffocating pang of jealousy tightening her chest. Was she really that unlovable? Why did everyone always prefer her sister? Just then, her phone started ringing. Seeing my name on the caller ID, she immediately forced down her emotions and answered. Hey sweetheart, what time do you get off work? Wan and I are coming to pick you up. We're eating out tonight. I made reservations at this amazing hot pot place. In that instant, every single bit of Shen Yuchu's bad mood completely vanished. Hearing me call her sweetheart through the phone, it made her heart melt a little. Completely oblivious to how she was feeling, I just kept chattering away excitedly. Wan and I bought so much stuff this afternoon. I'll show you when we get back. We got a ton of gorgeous clothes. You're going to look so beautiful in them. Shen Yuchu's eyes instantly lit up. You bought them for me? Yeah, of course. I got stuff for both of my girls. It honestly makes me a little sad, though. The last time I bought clothes for you two, you were only 4 years old. That was absolute peak cuteness for you little munchkins. You could have worn potato sacks and still looked adorable. Listening to my voice, a soft smile naturally crept onto Shen Yuchu's lips. We still have all those photo albums at home, carefully preserving every picture of them growing up. My dad took every single one of them by hand, always saying that once I woke up from my coma, I could use the photos to slowly catch up on all the precious time I had missed. But just as Shen Youchu opened her mouth to reply, Shen Yu, who was right next to me, started protesting. Her whiny, pouting voice echoed through the phone speaker. Dad, you don't love me anymore. So 4-year-olds are cute. 18-year-olds aren't pretty anymore, is that it? I quickly started coaxing her. Of course you're pretty. My two Antoine and Wan are the absolute most beautiful girls in the whole world. Shen Yuchu's mood completely brightened. She glanced at the time and immediately stood up, heading for the door. Dad, I'm already done with work. You don't need to pick me up. Just send me the restaurant's location, and I'll head over right now. Sounds good, I replied immediately. I'll text you the address right now. Watching Shen Youchu rushing out the door, her employees started whispering among themselves. A few of the female secretaries huddled around Special Assistant Li. Do you have any idea what's going on with President Shen? She's been so unbelievably moody all afternoon. Assistant Li just shrugged his shoulders. He didn't say much. Who could possibly guess what goes on in President Shen's head? Meanwhile, at the hot pot restaurant, I had specifically asked for a table by the window. Shen Yu and I were in the exact same pose, slurping our milk tea, when we spotted Shen Youchu. Shen Yu immediately waved her arms around and yelled, Sis. Over here, she shouted at the top of her lungs. Shen Youchu finally managed to spot her, but just as she was about to step forward, she realized that all the diners around us had been drawn by the commotion and were staring right at us. Shen Youchu stopped dead in her tracks. It was just too embarrassing. She looked like she wanted to pretend she didn't even know her sister. But of course, Shen Yu just thought she hadn't seen us. And actually raised her voice even louder. Sis. MMPH. MMPH. I quickly clamped my hand over her mouth. I used my other hand to hide my face behind my milk tea. I was dying of embarrassment too. She's just a kid, I'll keep her in line, I muttered apologetically. The people around us finally looked away, and Shen Youchu quietly let out a sigh of relief. Striding over to our table with her long legs, she shot a dark, lingering look at Shen Yu sitting next to me. She paused for a second, then silently turned and sat down right across from us. Her lips were pressed tightly together. I let go of Shen Yu. I gave Shen Yu a light flick on the forehead. Hey, no shouting in public places. She gave a clueless little nod, and I pulled out my phone to start ordering our food. What kind of broth do you guys want? A half and half pot? I remember too Antoine isn't a big fan of spicy food. The thin line of Shen Yuchu's tightly pressed lips instantly curled up into a faint, secret little smile. I just went back to looking at the menu. Let's get some beef rolls too. Wasn't Wan just saying she was so hungry she could eat a whole cow? I'm going to sit here and watch you eat it all. You bet. Shen Yu bounced right back to her energetic self, leaning her head in close to look at my phone. I can easily finish 2 plates. Alright, 2 plates for you then. Pretty soon, the waiter came over and dropped off our food. I looked up, only to catch sight of a very familiar figure. Shen Zihao. The guy was wearing a light blue shirt and looking pretty handsome. He definitely had a classy vibe about him. But right at that moment, he looked up, and our eyes actually locked. As our gazes met in the air, I could clearly see the flash of surprise in his eyes, followed by a split second of stiffening up. This guy definitely knew me. And, he clearly wasn't a fan of me. I figured that out in an instant. But even after racking my brain, I couldn't recall a single thing about him. I couldn't help but furrow my brows. Meanwhile, Shen Youchu, who had been staring at me this whole time, turned her head to follow my gaze. With just one look, she completely froze in her seat. Right after that, Shen Zihao started looking around the restaurant. Once he spotted me, his expression noticeably brightened up. There's an empty table over there, Tao Tao. Let's go sit over there. He pointed right at the table next to ours, and started making his way over. When he got close, he acted like he had just noticed me, putting on this totally fake look of surprise. Oh, brother, you're here too? With that said, he covered his mouth, looking back and forth between Lu Yuntao and me. His eyes were practically gleaming with gloating amusement. But Lu Yuntao didn't say a single word. He dug his nails into his palms, going absolutely mad with jealousy. He never expected that I'd actually make it back alive. He kept his eyes locked tight on me, staring so hard it was like he wanted to burn a hole straight through my skull. My face was exactly the same as he remembered it, striking, with deep, captivating features. The slight lift at the corners of my eyes. The kind of face you never forget after just one look. Even after over a decade apart, time hadn't left a single harsh mark on me. If anything, it only gave me a more mature, rugged charm. The intense jealousy boiling over in his eyes looked like it was going to swallow me whole. His nails dug even deeper, brutally pressing into his own flesh. Why the hell does this bastard get all the luck? I could practically hear him screaming it in his head. But in the blink of an eye, it was as if he suddenly remembered something. The tension in him actually loosened a bit. Lu Yuntao forced himself to look calm, and turned to ask Shen Zihao, "So, is this your older brother? The eldest son of the Shen family who went missing all those years ago?" Shen Zihao nodded immediately. "That's right. My brother just got back a few days ago." Saying that, he turned to introduce us. "Brother, you probably haven't met Dao Dao yet, right?" But before he could even finish his sentence, Shen Yu slammed her hand on the table, completely blowing up. "Who the hell let you two anywhere near my dad? Get the hell out of here." At the exact same time, Shen Youchu tensed up completely. Her eyes stayed glued to me, not even sparing a single side glance at those two. Her eyes were filled with nothing but pure worry. Watching all of this unfold, my mind was racing. Shen Zihao called him Dao Dao, and he managed to piss both of my daughters off this much? In a flash, it clicked. He was Lu Yuntao, the illegitimate son of the Lu family, the bastard who used dirty tricks to have a kid with my wife. Once I figured that out, I gently pulled on my youngest daughter's arm. She still looked absolutely furious, but at least she stopped shouting. I reached up and ruffled her hair, then looked straight across the table. My voice wasn't loud, but it was just enough for everyone around us to hear clearly. If my guess is right, this must be the guy who used those dirty little tricks. Have a baby with my wife. The illegitimate son of the Lu family, am I right? The moment those words dropped, the diners all around us snapped their heads toward our table again, their eyes wide with eager gossip. Lu Yuntao's face instantly flushed a deep, embarrassed red. Ever since he was formally accepted back into the Lu family, and especially after he knocked up the lady of the C family, everyone had been kissing his ass like he was the real man of the house. But he never imagined that I would just quietly show up, and publicly expose exactly what he was. All his careful scheming over the years. Was it all going down the drain? He desperately squeezed out a smile, trying to defend himself. "Mr. Shen, you can't just slander me like that. You're the one who vanished for over a decade. Did you really expect her to wait around for you her whole life?" But before he knew it, Shen Yu exploded all over again. "Bullshit. You're just a shameless piece of trash." The onlooker's eyes lit up even brighter. A plot twist. And then, another plot twist. Right at that very moment, I noticed Shen Youchu right beside me, her fists tightly clenched. Her eyes were burning with rage, looking like she was ready to just throw hands. More than Shen Yu's hot-headedness, it's Shen Youchu's state of mind that really worries me. I immediately reached out and grasped her clenched fist by her side. Feeling the warmth of my hand, she suddenly snapped out of her dark thoughts, looking up at me in a daze. I gave her a gentle smile, softly uncurling her fingers one by one. "Easy now," I whispered. "Dad's right here." Shen Youchu let out a soft hum, and obediently sat back down in her seat. But her eyes stayed glued to me, absolutely terrified that I might get hurt. I wasn't about to waste my breath on these people, so I pulled Shen Yu back too. I shot them an icy glare and gave them the boot. "Alright, that's enough. Stop ruining our dinner. We don't even know you." Shen Zihao's face went completely pale. "Brother." My eyes narrowed sharply. "Are you incapable of understanding plain English?" I said, "Don't call me your brother. Now get the hell out of here." That completely set Lu Yuntao off. He jammed his finger right in my face, lifting his chin high in the air. "What the hell are you so smug about? The Xi family estate will belong to my kids sooner or later. If you piss me off, I'll kick every last one of you out onto the streets. Those words absolutely struck a nerve with Shen Yu. Seeing her getting all worked up again, I couldn't care less. I just fired right back at him. It's barely even dark out and you're already daydreaming. Let me get one thing straight with you. As long as I'm breathing, neither you nor that kid of yours will lay a single finger on the Xi family fortune. Lu Yuntao was practically hyperventilating with rage. In all these years, he had never been humiliated like this. Seeing him gasping, Shen Zihao quickly rushed over to rub his back and calm him down. The way he was sucking up, looking so terrified of offending the future master of the Xi family. Seeing that just cranked my sarcasm up to 100. I guess birds of a feather really do flock together, I sneered. You two trash cans make an absolutely perfect pair. Right after that, I raised my hand and called for a waiter. Excuse me, we have 2 pieces of garbage polluting the air over here. It's completely ruining our appetite. Could you do us a favor and take out the trash? The waiters exchanged a glance, finally snapping out of the drama they'd been eagerly watching. And hurried over. Lu Yuntao was absolutely seething. With the whole restaurant pointing and whispering about him, he completely ditched Shen Zihao. Stomped his foot in fury, and stormed right out the door. Shen Zihao shot me one last venomous glare before scurrying out right after him. What a complete idiot. He went out of his way to bring Lu Yuntao here tonight. Thinking he could put me in my place. Who knew Lu Yuntao would fold like a cheap lawn chair? Still, those 2 clowns definitely ruined the vibe of our dinner. Shen Youchu and Shen Yu were both looking at me so cautiously, terrified that I might be secretly hurting. But I just brushed it off like nothing had happened. I reached over, scooped some meat out of the hot pot, and dropped it right into their bowls. Come on, eat up. It's all those 2 jerks' fault. Now our meat's completely overcooked. Seeing that I genuinely wasn't bothered, Shen Yu finally broke into a smile again. She took a massive bite of the meat, and mumbled happily through a full mouth. Dad, don't let those jerks get to you. If they ever dare to show their faces again, I'll beat them up every single time. I chewed on a meatball, swallowed it down, and finally spoke. The whole internet is searching for your 3 older sisters right now. If you really don't want to take over the company, don't force yourself. You have plenty of sisters anyway. I refuse to believe that not a single one of them is up to the task. If worst comes to worst, we still have 2 Antoine as a backup. There's no way the family business is falling into someone else's hands. Hearing this, Shen Youchu looked up at me. It seemed my thoughts matched hers perfectly. Shen Yu finally let out a long sigh of relief, too. She flashed a bright smile, revealing that signature little snaggletooth of hers, and even picked up a slice of fatty beef for her sister. Well, that's great then. The capable ones should do the heavy lifting, right? From now on, I'll be counting on you to watch my back, second sister. Shen Yuchu's eyes curved into a gentle smile as well. Then, she turned to look at me, her expression turning serious. Dad, we've had a lot of people offering clues these past few days, and quite a few have even shown up at the Shen Corporation claiming to be family. Do you want to meet them in person, Dad? Yeah, go ahead and set up a place. I'll meet them myself, and make sure to collect some of their hair. We'll run DNA tests on every single one of them. As long as there's even a sliver of hope, we can't let it slip by. As long as she's truly my daughter, a prompt will automatically pop up in my head the moment I see her. Meeting them face to face is definitely the most efficient way, but that damn system has screwed me over once before. I'm terrified it might drop the ball at a crucial moment, so the DNA tests are absolutely necessary. It's a double safeguard. Shen Youchu immediately nodded in agreement. Neither of us brought up the little incident from earlier. By the time we got back home that evening, it was already past 9 o'clock. The moment the butler saw us walk in, he hurried over to greet us. Sir, everything you purchased this afternoon has been delivered. Would you like me to have the staff organize them for you? I stared at the shopping bags piled up like a literal mountain in the living room, and instantly fell completely silent. Did I really buy that much stuff? But before I could even process it, Shen Yu was way more excited than I was. Like a husky off its leash, she let out a wild howl and dove straight into the pile of bags, furiously digging through them. Shen Youchu stared at the absolute chaos in the living room, rubbed her temples in exasperation, and swatted her sister right on the butt. What on earth are you looking for? But Shen Yu didn't even bother looking up. She just kept her butt in the air, relentlessly digging through the pile. Suddenly, she shot up straight. Holding up a pair of white overalls, she planted one hand on her hip. And looked as smug as a freshly boiled kettle. Hey, sis, Dad picked these out just for you. You can't let his precious efforts go to waste, you know. She batted her innocent little eyes, though her face was plastered with pure, mischievous evil. I burst out laughing on the spot. She's right. I actually bought 2 pairs. You and Wanwan should both go try them on. Shen Youchu practically turned to stone. Her entire wardrobe consisted of nothing but black, white, and gray. Overalls? Aren't those strictly for little kids? She shot me a desperate, pleading look, only to find my eyes brimming with pure anticipation. I looked like I wanted to stuff her into them this very second. Sigh. Fine. I'll wear them. Looking like a martyr heading to the execution block, she grabbed the overalls. The little bear charm dangling from the strap bounced back and forth. Shen Yu eagerly trailed right behind her. Sis, wait. I'll help you find a super cute shirt to go with it. Watching the two of them disappear up the stairs, I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst out laughing. Even the usually serious butler couldn't help but laugh. The atmosphere in the whole villa just felt so incredibly alive. It finally felt like a real home. About 10 minutes later, Shen Yu dragged Shen Youchu downstairs. Youchu had always given off a cool and aloof vibe, but wearing a simple, solid-colored tee and overalls right now, that icy exterior melted away instantly. That adorable outfit actually gave her such a sweet, girlish charm. It wasn't until this moment that it really hit me. She's still just an 18-year-old girl. Shen Yu, on the other hand, confidently did a little twirl right in front of me, her smile absolutely beaming. Dad, who looks prettier, me, or my sister? She had always been naturally bubbly and lovable. And dressed like this, she looked even more incredibly sweet and playful. With the two sisters standing side by side, one beautifully aloof and the other adorably sweet, they each had their own unique charm. My eyes lit up instantly. That's my girls. You're both just so gorgeous. Daddy absolutely loves you to death. Shen Yu threw her arms around me, nuzzling her head right into the crook of my neck. You're the most handsome dad in the whole wide world. Shen Youchu finally relaxed too. She cracked a smile, and her whole aura softened completely. Seeing that, I held out my free left hand and waved her over. She glanced at her little sister, who was still clinging to me like a baby. And the very next second, she threw herself into my arms too. I held them tight, one in each arm, with an unstoppable grin spreading across my face. Right after that, I whipped out my phone and snapped a bunch of photos of my two precious daughters. I carefully picked out 9 pictures and posted them straight to my timeline. I put a beautiful selfie of the 3 of us right in the center and captioned it. I officially announce, my darling Tuan Tuan and Wan Wan are the absolute cutest girls in the entire world. But little did I know, this post, my first in 13 years, would instantly blow up the entire city of Haicheng. My comment section went absolutely wild. Everyone was completely shocked that after being missing for 13 years, I had suddenly returned, and I barely even aged a day. But what shocked them even more was seeing the notoriously ruthless CEO Shen looking so sweet and cuddly through my camera lens. Even Grandpa Shen and Grandma C liked the post and secretly saved every single photo. But I definitely didn't expect that because of this one little post, the entire high society of Haicheng would start rethinking their moves, even debating whether they should keep doing business with the Liu family. I finally finished replying to all my friends' messages and saw it was already past 10 o'clock. So, I decided to kick off a little character building plan. I patted Shen Yu, who was busy gaming, and said, it's getting late. Time for bed. She just went, oh, and quickly wrapped up her match. It was so obvious she was planning to sneak back to her room and keep playing on her phone. But she had no idea that I would follow her right into her bedroom. Shen Yu looked at me with a face full of question marks. Dad, did you need something else? I put on my most serious face and announced, I completely missed out on you growing up. So, I've decided that starting tonight, I'm going to make up for it by reading you bedtime stories. Shen Yu was absolutely floored. I mean, I really love hanging out with you, Dad. But I'm literally 18 years old now. Is you reading me bedtime stories really appropriate? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, it's perfectly fine. Why wouldn't it be? Right at that moment, I noticed the light instantly fade from Shen Youchu's eyes as she trailed behind us. But to my surprise, Shen Yu looked at her like she'd just found her absolute savior. She immediately seized the chance. Dad, you have to be fair about this. You can't just read stories to me and leave my sister out of it, right? I thought about it for a second, then looked over at Shen Youchu. Do you want to hear a story too? She didn't even hesitate, nodding eagerly, terrified I might change my mind. Alright then, both of you go wash up first. Tonight, come over to Wan Wan's room, and I'll read to the both of you. Okay. Shen Youchu spun around and dashed off, leaving Shen Yu standing there, desperately reaching out like a dramatic soap opera character. By 10:30, my two 18-year-old big babies were lying side by side in bed. 2 similar pairs of eyes stared at me without blinking. I sat at the foot of the bed and quietly pulled out a book. Wait a minute. Shen Yu bolted upright, pointing wildly at the cover. That's 3 Days to See. Who on earth reads Helen Keller for a bedtime story? I didn't say a word. This daughter of mine had zero mental fortitude, and I had to nip that in the bud. God forbid something terrible actually happened to her one day. I wanted her to know how to survive, not just give up on life without a fight. So, I firmly pushed her back down onto the pillows, flipped the book open, and said without looking up, I picked out a whole stack of books just for you two today. I'm going to read to you every single night from now on. Aren't you touched? Right after that, I shifted to the side, revealing an entire row of books lined up on the desk. How the Steel Was Tempered, Robinson Crusoe, The Life of Beethoven, Ordinary World, Shen Yu froze instantly, too scared to move a muscle. I clicked off the main light, leaving only a warm, dim night light on. Then, I gently opened the book again, and started reading, slowly and deliberately. But to my absolute shock, just 2 minutes later, before I even finished the first page, a soft snoring sound started drifting through the room. I looked up, and locked eyes with Shen Youchu, who looked wide awake. We both turned our heads toward the noise, only to find Shen Yu out cold, sleeping like a log. Honestly, her sleep quality, I had to admit, I was impressed. Bright and early the next morning, Shen Yu actually woke up early for once. She stretched out lazily, feeling totally refreshed. Before realizing her leg was draped over someone else, she blinked, taking a closer look. Oh, it was just her sister. Phew, crisis averted. She didn't remember a single thing from last night's story, but she mentally gave herself a massive pat on the back for her own genius. Falling asleep to classic literature was the best. She'd never have to worry about insomnia again. The only downside was that it gave her flashbacks to high school, dreaming about her homeroom teacher chucking chalk at her head to wake her up. She rubbed her messy bedhead and was just about to get up, when she turned her head, and came face to face with Shen Youchu, who had massive, dark bags under her eyes. Morning, second sis. Shen Youchu had been absolutely tortured by her all night long. Between the loud snoring, the constant kicking, and getting squeezed to the absolute edge of the bed, she didn't sleep well at all. Deep down, she made up her mind. She was never sharing a bed with that girl again. She'd gladly hand me over to her. No more fighting for my attention at night. After washing up and heading downstairs, I looked at the dark circles under Shen Youchu's eyes and asked her, "Didn't sleep well last night?" She shot Shen Yu a resentful glare, nodded, but didn't say a word. But Shen Yu jumped out excitedly. "I slept like a log last night. Listening to your voice, Dad, gave me that cozy feeling of sleeping at my desk in class." He smacked her lightly on the head. "Sleeping in class? And you're proud of it?" Shen Yu instantly pouted, looking totally wronged. "Yesterday I was your sweet little angel, and today I'm getting beaten up." A faint smile finally crept onto Shen Youchu's lips. She spoke up. "Dad, I booked the cafe right across from the company. All the girls coming for the paternity test will be there today. Do you want to go check it out yourself?" I nodded immediately. "Then we'll head over together in a bit." After breakfast, I went upstairs to change. When I came back down, I was carrying a potted cactus. "I bought this especially for you. Put it on your desk. Looking at something green will help you relax when you're stressed." Shen Youchu smiled and took it. "Okay," but the moment we left, Shen Yu fell into absolute despair. Not only was she stuck at home reading, she had to read that same book from last night, 3 days to see, and write an 800-word book report. Meanwhile, at the cafe, I stared at the massive line of 18-year-old girls wrapping around the block. My mouth twitched. "Are they all here for the paternity test?" Special Assistant Lee nodded seriously from the car. "Yes, sir. Ever since we posted the missing person ad, people have been reaching out non-stop." He continued, "We've already screened all of them. Anyone with a story that obviously didn't match up was filtered out right away. Everyone left here is around 18 years old, and has no idea who their biological parents are." I took a deep breath. "All right, got it." Just then, a man in a sharp suit walked over. He introduced himself. "Hello, sir. I'm Xiao Liang. I'll be handling the identification process today. How would you like to proceed?" I stared at the endless, winding line. There had to be dozens of them at a quick glance. But in my head, no memory of this plotline surfaced at all. So, I went with the most straightforward approach. Get a private room, have them come in one by one, pluck a strand of hair, and leave. Have someone bag the samples and send them straight to the Shen Family Hospital for a DNA test. My genetic profile is on file there. Back when I was searching for my daughter, I made sure to leave a DNA sample on record. Never thought it'd actually come in handy like this. Xiao Liang was clearly taken aback, but he nodded immediately. "Understood. I'll set it up right away." About 15 minutes later, I followed him into the private room. The girls lined up and came in one by one, while I just sat right there. I looked at them one by one, while the staff nearby quickly sealed their hair samples, labeling them carefully, until the very last person left. I leaned back in my chair and let out a heavy sigh. My mind was still completely blank. It seemed none of them were the one. I just knew it. It wouldn't be that easy. Still, this was only the first batch. I wasn't about to lose hope just yet. After heading back, I hardly ever left the house. I spent all day cooped up in the study surfing the web, occasionally dropping by my senior's lab to check in. In the blink of an eye, it was the first day of school for Shen Yu. I got up bright and early, nagging her endlessly. "When you get to school, focus on your studies. No fighting, you hear me?" Shen Yu chewed on her shrimp dumpling and replied without a care in the world. "Dad, you've said that like 10 times already. Am I really that much of a troublemaker?" I still wasn't convinced. I even thought to myself, how about I get a few bodyguards to follow you around? Shen Yu was so startled she almost choked. Cough, cough. "Dad, are you serious? I'm going to school, not heading into a war zone." I put on a stern face and gave it to her straight. If you end up in the police station for fighting one day, don't expect me to come bail you out. Shen Yu immediately promised, Dad, don't you worry. I'm your sweetest little angel. I would never get into a fight. But out of nowhere, Shen Youchu threw her right under the bus. Right, last time wasn't a fight. It was just you single-handedly beating people up. And in the end, I still had to go down to the station myself to bail you out. Shen Yu looked like she wanted to slap a hand over her sister's mouth. She hurriedly defended herself. That really wasn't my fault. That creep was harassing a girl in my class. My head was just buzzing with a massive headache. I glared at her coldly. You've read plenty of those books I bought you lately. If you really get into a fight with someone, you might just end up becoming exactly like them one day. I shifted my tone, twisting the knife even deeper. Actually, no. A little punk like you who knows absolutely nothing but throwing punches. How could you even compare to those main characters? They're out there building empires. And what about you? You probably wouldn't even make it out of the hospital. For getting yourself killed. The moment I said that, Shen Yu's big eyes instantly filled with utter betrayal, but I didn't soften up in the slightest. I laid down my final ultimatum. Starting today, you are going to behave yourself in class. The driver will pick you up and drop you off every single day. If I catch you even thinking about getting into a fight, your allowance is getting completely cut off. Shen Yu slumped onto the table and let out a dramatic wail. No way, it's literally the first day of school. I personally dragged a very dejected Shen Yu to school. Haicheng First High was a famous elite prep school. All the wealthy and powerful families sent their kids here. Of course, to boost their college acceptance rates, they also specially recruited a few top-performing students from underprivileged backgrounds. Like the female lead of this book, Zhang Pei. The moment she stepped out of the car, a few of Shen Yu's close classmates crowded around her. Boss Yu, a girl came running over, carrying soy milk and steamed buns. Trailing right behind her were a bunch of wildly colored heads. Oh boy, put them together and they could cosplay a rainbow. When Shen Yu saw her best friend, she instinctively reached out to throw an arm around her neck, ready to strut her usual arrogant swagger. But the second she met my gaze, her hand dropped instantly. She transformed into a perfect little angel in a split second. Dad, my friends are here. I'll head to class with them now. Her little rainbow squad stood there completely dumbfounded. To actually make their boss Yu act so sweet and submissive. Who on earth was this guy? And on top of that, hearing the words head to class come out of Shen Yu's mouth was like watching the sun rise in the west. Li Shui scratched her head in confusion. Didn't she say Boss Yu's dad passed away a long time ago? So, is this guy her stepdad? Her eyes instantly filled with suspicion. I noticed Li Shui's defensive glare and just chuckled. Speaking in a gentle tone, I asked, you girls are Shen Yu's friends, right? I'm her dad. She packed some snacks in her bag. You can all share them if you get hungry from studying. Wait, why did that sound so familiar? Shen Yu muttered to herself. Pretty sure he said the exact same thing when dropping me off at kindergarten. Seeing how friendly I was, the girls immediately dropped their guard. Thank you, mister. They chimed in politely. I gave a nod, then turned my eyes back to Shen Yu. I smoothed out her collar and leaned in, whispering right by her ear. I know my Shen Yu is a good girl who pays attention in class. She would never skip school or get into fights. Right? I gave her shoulder a firm pat. Hurry along to class now. Shen Yu could have sworn. She saw a pure threat in my eyes. Fighting back imaginary tears, she just nodded. I'll study. I swear I'll study. With that, she rallied her little gang of followers, and marched into the schoolyard looking like she was heading to the execution grounds. Li Shui trailed right behind her. Totally bewildered, she asked, Boss Yu, was that handsome guy your stepdad? Shen Yu stopped dead in her tracks. You messing with me right now? Huh? No, I'm not. If you aren't, then why the hell are you calling him some handsome guy? That is my real, biological dad. It suddenly dawned on Li Shui. Boss Yu's dad had actually shown up out of nowhere. Boss Yu, your dad is seriously so handsome. He looks exactly like you. I honestly thought he was your older brother. A massive, proud grin spread across Shen Yu's face. Well, duh, just look at whose dad he is. Li Shui giggled foolishly along with her. Now let's see who dares to call Boss Yu an illegitimate child again just to piss her off. Meanwhile, the girls thought I had already left, but I hadn't gone anywhere. I was currently sitting in the principal's office, sipping on some tea. The principal wiped his painfully receding hairline, and stared at me in absolute shock. Mr. Shen, did you just say, you want to donate an entire building to our school? That's right. I kept my tone casual, making it sound like an entire building was just a little trinket. I heard the school's labs haven't been renovated in ages, and the equipment is completely outdated. I'd be happy to donate a brand new science building, fully stocked with all the latest equipment. Our Shen family businesses manufacture all of it, so we'll just donate the whole package. The principal heard that loud and clear. A fawning smile instantly plastered across her face. She's dealt with plenty of rich parents, but someone this generous? I'm definitely the first. Mr. Shen, you're so incredibly thoughtful for the students. It's a true blessing for our school. Please, rest assured, I'll make absolutely sure the teachers take excellent care of Shen Yu. I took a slow sip of my tea. The timing was perfect. Now, to reveal my actual motive. My Yu is pretty impulsive, and honestly, I worry about her. So, I was hoping to discuss a small favor with you, Principal. If it's not too much trouble. Here it comes. The real motive is finally on the table. The principal knew exactly how the game was played. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Of course. Please, whatever you need, just say the word. As long as it wasn't completely outrageous, the sugar daddy's demands had to be met. I just smiled and started spinning my web of bullshit. A fortune teller warned me that my daughter will face a bloody disaster during her senior year. As her father, it's better to be safe than sorry, you know? So, I'd like to plant a few bodyguards around the school, just disguised as regular staff members, secretly protecting my little girl. As long as she's safe, I swear they won't lay a finger on anyone. The principal's mouth twitched. Are all rich people this superstitious? Going to such crazy lengths over some bogus fortune teller's nonsense? But hey, it really wasn't a big deal for her. Please don't worry, our school is extremely secure. Nothing will happen to her, and we will fully cooperate. That's wonderful to hear. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. As for the new building, the Shen group will send someone over to handle the paperwork immediately. It was a fantastic meeting. Both sides got exactly what they wanted. The only one kept completely in the dark was Shen Yu. She didn't even notice the new janitor casually popping up, or the cafeteria guy who suddenly gave her massive, perfectly steady scoops of food. She just figured the local street punks had randomly stopped bothering her. Honestly, she didn't even care, because right now, she had way bigger things to worry about. During the break, Li Shui wandered over to Shen Yu's desk, and caught her actually taking serious study notes. Her jaw practically hit the floor. Whoever you are, get the hell out of my boss's body right now. Shen Yu jumped out of her skin. She snapped back. Are you freaking possessed or something? Li Shui just scratched her head. Pretty sure you're the one who's possessed, you. Shen Yu slammed her pen down and rested her chin on her notebook. Her eyes totally dead and hollow. Studying is pure torture. It's absolute agony. Why the hell is it so hard? To just be my dad's perfect little girl? Li Shui was completely lost. Boss, I thought you literally didn't care about school? Yeah, I used to not care. But everything's different now. Shen Yu slammed her hand on the desk. She stood up abruptly. I'm heading over to class 1. Li Shui hurried after her. What are you going to class 1 for? That's the genius class. Slackers like us usually take a detour just walking past it. Shen Yu looked dead serious. I'm going to ask Zhang Pei to borrow her notes. From now on, I'm turning over a new leaf. Anyone who dares to interrupt my studying is my sworn enemy. Out of all her close friends, Zhang Pei was the only top student. Who else would I ask? Li Shui was completely speechless. She had to be possessed. Meanwhile, over in senior class 1, when Zhang Pei heard that Shen Yu was looking for her, she was a bit surprised. The two of them had met last year at an upscale bar, where Zhang Pei was working part-time. A drunk guy had started causing trouble, and Shen Yu had stepped in to help her out. From that moment on, she slowly got to know Shen Yu better. She realized Shen Yu wasn't the spoiled rich girl the rumors made her out to be. She was drawn to Shen Yu's genuine sincerity, and they became close friends. But they didn't actually cross paths much at school. So, hearing that Shen Yu was at the door, she was actually a little worried. Zhang Pei hurried out of the classroom, immediately spotting Shen Yu's bright blue hair. Shen Yu, did you need me for something? Shen Yu looked a little awkward. Well, it's nothing major, really. Zhang Pei breathed a sigh of relief. Just tell me what's up. If I can help, I absolutely will. Shen Yu looked like she was bracing herself. I want to borrow your math notes. Standing next to her, Li Shui looked completely shocked. No way. You, are you seriously doing this? Zhang Pei was just as surprised. After all, she had offered to tutor Shen Yu in the past. It had been turned down every time. Later on, knowing her family had plenty of money, she figured Shen Yu already had her future mapped out, so she never brought it up again. But now Shen Yu was actually asking to study on her own? That was a good thing. She agreed instantly. Sure, wait right here, let me go grab them for you. Seeing Shen Yu standing at the door, the students in class 1 all turned their heads. Shen Yu was a total legend in the senior class. Even though her grades were terrible, and she was known for getting into fights, you couldn't deny that she was stunningly pretty and sweet. Whenever she messed up, she'd immediately lower her head and apologize. She could easily sweet-talk the teachers out of being mad. Even the guys she had rejected never talked trash behind her back, just because she was so charming. Right at that moment, a quiet guy with glasses sitting inside the classroom felt his heart skip a beat the second he heard the name, Shen Yu. His name was Su Jingchen. He pretended to glance over casually, and through the window, he saw the sunlight falling on Shen Yu, making her look like she was glowing with a golden halo. Instantly, his heart started pounding in his chest. The tips of his ears turned bright red, and he quickly looked down, gripping his pen tightly. He couldn't help but wonder, How on earth did Zhang Pei know Shen Yu? They lived so close and were in the exact same class. Yet he hadn't picked up on it at all. Right then, Zhang Pei hurried back out of the classroom with her notebook. Here are the notes I put together. Come ask me anytime if you don't understand anything. Shen Yu just nodded. Holding the study notes, she felt completely out of her element, mumbling a quick, awkward reply. She grabbed the notebook and hurried off. But, she was walking way too fast, totally oblivious to the person ahead of her who wasn't looking where they were going either. The two of them slammed right into each other. Duoduo, who took the brunt of the hit, was just about to start screaming. But when she looked up and saw her absolute worst enemy, her blood boiled even more. What's the rush? You in a hurry to die? Li Shui immediately raised her fist. But Shen Yu quickly grabbed her arm. I promised my dad I wouldn't fight. Besides, you're the one walking around blind. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't even bother with you. Just get out of my way. Duoduo narrowed her eyes, her gaze landing on the notebook in Shen Yu's hand. She suddenly burst into laughter. Judging by where you came from, don't tell me you went to class 1 to borrow notes from Zhang Pei? A total loser like you, actually trying to study? Oh, trying to turn over a new leaf? That is hilarious. Shen Yu looked at her with pure disgust. You're dead last in the whole grade. What gives you the right to laugh at me for being 10th from the bottom? Duoduo instantly choked on her words. She was only hiding her true abilities. But she couldn't exactly say that out loud, which just made her even more furious. Shen Yu didn't want to waste another breath on her. She just stepped right up, hard-checked her shoulder, and stormed off. Just then, a gardener trimming the flowers nearby peeked up, and only breathed a sigh of relief when they were finally gone. Duoduo clutched her shoulder, glaring at Shen Yu's retreating back. Her eyes instantly went totally dark, but she quickly snapped out of it. Turned around, and headed toward class 1 to find her brand new boyfriend. On their way, Li Shui was fuming. You, why the hell didn't you let me hit her? Her dad's warning flashed right through Shen Yu's mind. Fighting will get you crippled. And if you're crippled, you'll only end up as the tragic hero of some inspirational sob story. Li Shui just looked completely lost. A second later, Li Shui glanced back. Wait, what's Duoduo doing in class 1 anyway? Don't tell me she managed to bag a nerd boyfriend? Shen Yu scoffed. Her? Yeah, right. She cycles through pretty boys like there's no tomorrow. Why would a top student ever give her the time of day? Li Shui casually agreed. True. I heard she made this huge, public confession on the track field a few days ago. The whole school was talking about it. Shen Yu couldn't care less. Whatever, as long as the breakup payout is high, it's a mutual deal. Both sides get what they want. Meanwhile, over at the Haicheng Research Institute, I was following right behind Ning Shi, heading straight for the lab zone. My left hand was shoved in my pocket, clutching the strength pill I brought from home for dear life. But my eyes were darting everywhere, taking the place in. Most of the faces here were brand new to me. Every now and then, someone would glance up at me, then quickly duck their head back down. But right at that moment, Lu Yan, a researcher dropping off some files, watched the two of us walk away, her eyes growing darker by the second. She had slaved away in this place for years. What gave me the right to waltz in and get all this VIP treatment? She glared at Ning's eyes back, completely convinced that there was some dirty little secret going on between us. Ning Shi didn't seem to notice. She just led me to the door of a lab. She stepped forward and scanned her fingerprint. Peep. The heavy door slowly opened. Come on in. This is the lab the professor set aside just for you. I'll have the assistant register your details in a bit. I quietly took in the fully equipped room. I was more than satisfied. Great. Thanks, Ning Shi. Ning Shi smiled, then turned to look at me. The professor mentioned your research focus this time is reproductive chemistry and reproductive biotechnology, right? Yeah, if it works, we might actually make a massive breakthrough in saving endangered species and treating human infertility. Ning's eyes lit up. Is it really viable in practice? Without blinking an eye, I dropped a massive bombshell. Actually, I started working on this project 20 years ago, and I've already made some preliminary progress. It's just that the side effects of the drug are way too severe. It still needs a lot of tweaking. 20 years ago, Ning Shi was absolutely stunned. A second later, the pieces finally clicked together in her mind. She stared at me. You were missing for so many years. Was it because of this project? I figured I might as well use what happened 20 years ago as my cover story. After all, making such a huge breakthrough in a short amount of time would be impossible to explain. So, I nodded. Yeah, I hid it from everyone, and did the first human trial on myself. But I had no idea the side effects would be that extreme. It almost killed me. Ning Shi gasped. So everything is just the result of that experiment? She was absolutely furious. What were you thinking? How could you be so reckless? Is this something you can just test out on a whim? You should have done animal trials first. I could only give her an awkward smile. Look, I was young and reckless back then. Won't happen again. Ning Shi just sighed. She didn't press the issue and quickly left the room. After that, I immediately threw myself into the grueling lab work. I opened the porcelain vial, and a perfectly smooth, translucent pill came into view. I snapped on a pair of sterile gloves and carefully took it out. Then, I quickly placed it into the chemical analyzer. Amid the soft hum of the machine, I kept my eyes glued to the screen, my fingers typing away with practiced ease. Every single movement felt like muscle memory. Once I get to work, I completely lose track of time. By the time I finally walked out of the lab, I realized I had several missed calls on my phone. Standing by the entrance of the institute, I was just about to call my daughter back when a Maybach parked up ahead suddenly honked its horn. The window rolled down, revealing Shen Youchu's face. She immediately got out of the car and walked straight toward me. "Dad," her voice was trembling with worry. "I called you so many times, but you never answered." I gave her an apologetic smile. I was in the lab. I got caught up in work and didn't even notice. But her long eyelashes fluttered, looking a bit hurt. "They don't let outsiders into the institute. I've been waiting here for you for 2 hours, Dad. I thought something happened to you." Thinking about the constant beeping on the other end of the phone, my heart ached. I quickly and patiently comforted her. I reached out and gently stroked her cheek. "It's Dad's fault. I made my little two Antoine worry. Can you forgive Dad?" Shen Youchu's face instantly turned bright red. She stammered, "I'm not mad. I could never be mad at you, Dad." I looked at her with an amused smile and took her arm to get into the car. "Come on, let's head back." But neither of us could have expected that the moment our car pulled away, Lu Yan slowly walked out from the doors of the institute. She pushed up her glasses, her eyes locked onto the departing Maybach. Her lips curled into a smirk of pure disgust. It turned out she had noticed me earlier. Seeing Youchu and me acting so close, she immediately whipped out her phone and quickly snapped a photo. In her mind, my entry into this research institute had absolutely nothing to do with my skills. It was all thanks to my sugar mommy. Back at the Genting villa, Shen Yu was already home from school. She was sitting cross-legged on the couch, playing video games. The second she heard our voices, she tossed her phone aside. From the phone, Li Shui's anxious voice could still be heard shouting, You, why did you stop moving?" But Shen Yu couldn't care less. She threw herself right at me. After giving me a big hug, she hugged her sister too, making sure to share the love equally. Shen Yu whined affectionately, "You guys are finally back. I missed you so much." I smiled and played along. "I missed you too." Shen Youchu, on the other hand, kept a cool face. But Shen Yu was already used to it. After dinner, Shen Youchu suddenly brought something up. "Dad, you've been back for a while now. Do you want to host a welcome banquet?" I shook my head. "That's way too much trouble. Word travels fast in our circle. Anyone who needs to know, already knows." She didn't push the issue. Instead, she grabbed a box from beside her and handed it to me. "At the charity gala yesterday, I saw this watch and thought it'd be perfect for you, so I bought it. See if you like it." The crushed diamonds sparkled brilliantly under the light. My heart warmed. This was a gift from my daughter, after all. I love it. "Can my two Antoine help Dad put it on?" I held out my wrist, and Shen Youchu lowered her head, carefully clasping it on for me. Seeing her suppress a happy little smile made my heart swell with joy. But suddenly, Shen Yu started grumbling from the sidelines. "Oh, wow, since when did my second sister become such a schemer? Buying gifts behind my back to kiss up to Dad." She immediately squeezed in next to me, and loudly announced, "Just wait until I get my allowance next month. I'm gonna buy Dad something way cooler." But Shen Youchu just gave her a cool glance, and completely shut her down. "There's an auction the day after tomorrow. Every elite family in Haicheng got an invitation. Word is, there's going to be a lot of fine jewelry. If you like them, Dad, I can buy them all for you." She really enjoyed that feeling of spending money on her dad. Shen Yu let out another heavy scoff. "What's so great about that?" But when I heard about the auction, something clicked in my mind. An old friend of mine, who I haven't seen in ages, happens to be coming back to the country. We actually planned to meet on that exact day. So, looking at my daughters, I spoke up. "Do you girls remember your Uncle Wang Hao? He's coming back from abroad the day after tomorrow. We happen to be meeting at the auction. You should come with me." Shen Youchu nodded immediately. "I remember. Uncle Wang, Uncle Guan, and Uncle Bai always send us gifts for our birthdays every year. They've also been looking out for me in business." Shen Yu chimed in too. "That's right. For our 18th birthdays, Uncle Wang bought both me and my second sister our own sports cars." What they didn't know was that these close, loyal friends were mentored completely by me. Back in college, I had no choice but to start my own business. The first person who came to mind was Guan Mushin. Then, I brought in two impoverished students I used to sponsor, Wang Hao and Liu Zicheng. Out of all the kids I sponsored, they were the most talented and the hardest working. Just like that, the four of us grew the business bigger and bigger, eventually building the Ziyuan Group, which is now a force to be reckoned with even overseas. This auction was actually held and invitations specially sent out because they found out that Ziyuan's major shareholder, Wang Hao, was coming back to the country. I looked at my two daughters and made a decision. Wanwan has school that day. "So Youchu, you'll come with me." "Okay, Whatever you and Uncle Wang like at the auction. I'll win the bids for all of them. I stroked the diamond accents on my wrist, the corners of my mouth curling into a smile. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the auction. I linked arms with Shen Youchu. The two of us, father and daughter, walked calmly into the venue. Right as we entered, a guy claiming to be the CEO of Xingyang Group hurried over, his face plastered with a huge smile as he greeted Shen Youchu. CEO Shen, hello there. We actually had dinner together a few days ago. I don't know if you still remember me? He obviously didn't know who I was, just treating me like some ordinary plus one. His eyes were completely fixed on my daughter. But Shen Youchu, dressed in a black haute couture business suit, radiated an icy aura. She merely gave him a passing glance, and parted her lips. There were no polite pleasantries, only the crisp brevity of someone in power. When CEO Wang heard this, he immediately started flattering her. I've long heard that CEO Shen is young and incredibly successful, and possesses an extraordinary presence. Seeing you today, it's absolutely true. Shen Youchu, however, didn't want to chat. She gave a slight nod, but when her eyes turned to me, her tone instantly softened. Let's head upstairs first. This incredibly gentle tone made CEO Wang freeze in shock. Only then did he cast his gaze toward me. Who was this man? How could he make the icy Shen Youchu act so incredibly gentle? Could it be her boyfriend? He was just making wild guesses. Suddenly, there was a commotion at the entrance. A man dressed in a sharp black suit walked in. He stood tall, radiating an incredibly commanding presence. His features were cold, and his eyes were calm, yet sharp as a knife. He quietly scanned the entire room, but the moment his eyes landed on me, he completely ignored everyone else, rushed over, and pulled me into a tight hug. Shen Chen, it's really you. I reached out and patted his back. Yeah, it's me. I'm back. Shen Youchu stood quietly to the side and greeted him. Uncle Wang. For once, Wang Hao actually looked a little embarrassed. After all, he was never one to wear his heart on his sleeve. Seeing his eyes a little red, I said, let's head upstairs first. We can talk more once we're up there. Wang Hao nodded. The three of us headed upstairs together, leaving behind a wave of hushed whispers. Who is the man following President Shen? He actually knows Director Wang from Ziyuan Group. Look at Director Wang's reaction. Those two definitely have a special relationship. Could it be President Shen's new boyfriend? Just then, someone who had seen me before interrupted them. Stop talking nonsense. That is President Shen's biological father, the missing eldest son of the Shen family. As soon as those words dropped, everyone gasped in shock. Especially that female executive Wang from earlier. A cold sweat instantly broke out on her forehead. She had actually thought he was just an assistant. Meanwhile, in the VIP booth upstairs, Wang Hao looked at me. You've been back for so long and didn't even contact us. If it wasn't for that WeChat post, we wouldn't have even known you were back. I quickly threw my hands up in surrender. Hey, you can't blame me for this. I ran into some trouble the moment I got back. Of course I had to deal with that first before reaching out to you guys. I gave him a quick rundown of the situation with the Wang family. Wang Hao was absolutely furious after hearing it. I knew it. How could you ever arrange a childhood marriage with the Wang family? It was all completely fake. He patted Shen Yuchu's shoulder sympathetically. You've really suffered so much these past few years. Shen Youchu shook her head, gently brushing the topic aside. Taking advantage of the time before the auction started, Wang Hao pulled me aside and chattered away endlessly, as if trying to fill in all the blank spaces from the years I was gone. Flipping through the catalog in his hands, Wang Hao pointed to a ruby and said, I heard there's a pigeon egg-sized ruby up for grabs tonight. I'm going to win it for you later. You can wear it tomorrow when you meet Lu Zicheng and Guan Mushin. Let them see the sheer style of our young master Shen. The moment he said that, Shen Youchu pursed her lips, looking unamused. Uncle Wang, I have the money. I can bid on it for my dad myself. Wang Hao paused for a second, then burst into a loud laugh. Alright, you bid on it. I won't fight you for it. Soon enough, the auction began, until a familiar voice rang out. 5 million. I looked toward the sound. It was actually Lu Yuntao. He was holding a glass of red wine, smiling in a way that was polite yet incredibly smug. The way he looked around was full of pure show-off energy. After all, who didn't know? He's the father of that illegitimate daughter from the C family, riding on the coattails of both the C and Lu families. Everyone had to give him a wide berth. Shen Zihao, sitting right next to him, was grinding his teeth in pure jealousy, but could only lower his gaze and kiss up to him. Tao Tao, this brooch looks absolutely perfect on you. Lu Yuntao tilted his chin up slightly. His gaze casually swept over my booth, dripping with absolute, undisguised contempt. Just when he thought the brooch was in the bag, a cold, mocking male voice suddenly cut through the air. 10 million. The entire room went dead silent. Everyone instinctively turned around, only to see Wang Hao standing there with his arms crossed. He glared coldly at Lu Yuntao. That look screamed, do you even deserve this? Oh, this is gonna be good. Boss Sis' original husband is publicly slapping him down. I looked at Wang Hao and lowered my voice, slightly disapproving. It's just a brooch. Even acknowledging him is giving him too much credit. But Wang Hao just poked my arm in frustration. Are you really just gonna sit there and watch him throw his weight around using the C family's name? Even Shen Youchu nodded quietly. Uncle Wang is right. He was doing that on purpose to humiliate you, Dad. Lu Yuntao was absolutely furious. He immediately raised his hand to lift his paddle. 11 million. But Shen Youchu followed right on his heels. Her voice was ice cold. 15 million. Sigh. Whatever. It's rare for the kid to have some fun. I'll just let her at it. I crossed my arms, leaning back lazily against the seat, completely ready for the show. Lu Yuntao was so pissed his fingertips were actually trembling. That price was already way beyond the brooch's actual worth. Bidding again would make him a total sucker. But if he backed down now, how could he ever show his face again? Desperate to save face, he shot me a venomous glare. Gritting his teeth, he forced out a bid. 20 million, going once. Lu Yuntao turned his head to look at us, only to realize the three of us hadn't even flinched. 20 million, going twice. Shen Youchu just silently sipped her tea. Wang Hao's eyes were brimming with amusement, and I was just enjoying the spectacle. 20 million, third and final time. Sold. Lu Yuntao stared at that brooch. He could have easily won it for 5 million. But right now, it just looked like a glaring joke. I raised an eyebrow at Wang Hao. I really thought you guys were gonna keep driving up the price. Wang Hao gave me a look that basically said we aren't idiots. Hey, if he wants to play the fool and get ripped off, let him. I couldn't help but crack a smile. And so, for the rest of the auction, Lu Yuntao was like a walking curse. Anything, and I mean anything he laid his eyes on, someone would immediately outbid him. He ended up either paying astronomical prices, or being forced to back down. Everyone else in the room was silently enjoying the joke. Trying to get on my daughter's good side, half the crowd was actively screwing with Lu Yuntao. He practically became the laughingstock of the entire event. He was so furious he just stopped raising his paddle altogether. I gotta admit, I was loving it too. Especially after snagging that ruby. I was in an incredible mood. Honestly, using your status to bully people actually feels pretty damn good. Wang Hao raised an eyebrow. That's what happens when you raise a successful daughter. I looked at him. What? Are you jealous? If you're so jealous, just hurry up and find a woman to have a kid with. It's not too late at your age. But Wang Hao immediately shook his head vigorously. Forget it, no way. Having a kid as amazing as Youchu is basically hitting the genetic jackpot. I wouldn't dare test my luck. I nodded in agreement. My 2 Antoine really is outstanding. Shen Youchu, however, blushed with embarrassment. She lowered her head and took a sip of tea to hide her shyness. Right at that moment, the final item of the auction was brought out onto the stage. An antique vase, said to be from the Song dynasty. I immediately sat up straight. Old Mr. Li's birthday is in a few days. This vase would make the perfect gift. Wang Hao frowned. The Li family? You mean that academic titan, old Mr. Li? I nodded. Exactly. Elder Li is very close to my mentor, and he gave me a lot of guidance back in the day. So naturally, the gift can't be too shabby. While we were talking, the price of the vase had already been driven up to 150 million. I immediately raised my paddle. 160 million. The people in the crowd quickly grabbed their phones to report back to their bosses. With my resources and the C family's backing, very few people would dare to keep bidding against me. But to my surprise, Lu Yuntao was also gunning for this vase. The Lu family had also received an invitation from the Li family, and his dad had specifically sent him to win this vase. However, he had already blown way past his budget in the earlier rounds. He gritted his teeth in furious frustration, but still couldn't resist raising his paddle. 170 million. I gave him a cold, dismissive glance. I wasn't just doing this to spite him. I genuinely needed to win this vase. So, I immediately upped the bid to 200 million. Lu Yuntao's hand trembled. 200 million? Why did this guy always have to make things so damn difficult for me? His eyes were as venomous as a snake's, locking onto me like he wanted to rip me to shreds. But the moment the auctioneer's gavel struck, I didn't even bother to spare him a single glance. I just walked straight to the back with the staff to collect my vase. That total disregard humiliated him far more than a direct insult ever could. After the auction, Wang Hao and I took a stroll through the park. Shen Youchu had already headed back to the office, leaving his 2 old friends to catch up after so much time apart. Wang Hao patted the back of my hand, sighing with deep emotion. Thank God you made it back safely, man. You have no idea. After you vanished, you should have seen how absolutely unhinged Si Zhaozhao became. She even almost went after Guan Mushin. I froze in sheer shock. I couldn't believe my ears. What? How? What does any of this have to do with Guan Mushin? Why on earth would Si Zhaozhao target her? Realizing he had let slip too much, Wang Hao hesitated for a moment. But he decided to just tell the truth. Si Zhaozhao thought Guan Mushin was the one hiding you. Huh? My eyes practically bugged out of my head. Wang Hao could only sigh and try to explain. When we first started our business, we began in the medical industry, right? The note you left behind said you were going away to get medical treatment. So, naturally, the first person Si Zhaozhao thought of was her. He quickly added, you specifically wrote that you were going to a friend's research institute for treatment. Other than the few of us, what other friend do you have that's tied to the medical industry? So, the prime suspect became Guan Mushin. She had the means, and she had the medical tech. Add all those reasons up together. Basically, the motives and abilities were completely stacked against me. Wang Hao stared right into my eyes, like he was trying to figure out what was really going on. Right at that moment, my phone rang, and I let out a quiet sigh of relief. I didn't even check the caller ID and picked it up right away. Hello? But a minute later, my face completely dropped. Something just came up. I've got to head out. Wang Hao asked with concern, is it urgent? You need my help? I waved him off. No, it's fine. My youngest daughter just got herself into some trouble. I just need to go sort it out. After agreeing to meet up with Wang Hao tomorrow, I grabbed my driver and rushed straight to the police station. As soon as I walked through the door, I spotted this wild, blue-haired girl. Behind her were the bodyguards I had assigned to her. She was standing there all high and mighty with her hands on her hips, screaming at a badly beaten up Qian Duoduo. You actually have the nerve to call the cops? You're the one who started picking a fight with me first. I'm only letting this slide out of respect. You owe us an apology. The group of rainbow-haired girls behind her immediately chimed in. Yeah, apologize right now. As for Duoduo's crew, several of them were covered in cuts and bruises, looking absolutely pathetic. You brought all these bodyguards to gang up on us. That is so unfair. Just as they were about to start screaming at each other again, an officer slammed his hand on the desk and yelled, shut it, all of you. Sit down and wait quietly for your parents to get here. Both groups instantly backed down like frightened turtles. I strode right into the room, with a stern face, looking Shen Yu up and down. At least she didn't seem to be hurt. Then I turned to the officer, my expression softening a bit. Hello, I'm Shen Yu's dad. The moment Shen Yu saw me, she completely dropped her arrogant attitude. She stared at me with these huge, teary puppy dog eyes and started pleading her case. Even though she had her bodyguards completely floor the other side, this little brat actually gave me an innocent smile. Thank goodness for the bodyguards you gave me, Dad. Otherwise, they definitely would have beaten me up. I shot her a furious glare. You still have the nerve to smile? Right at that moment, a clear, young girl's voice suddenly chimed in. This isn't Shen Yu's fault. Duoduo was the one who brought a crew over to start trouble first. I turned around and saw a very sweet, well-behaved looking teenage girl. I asked her gently, and you are? The girl introduced herself. My name is Zhang Pei. I'm Shen Yu's best friend. My eyes went slightly wide. Female lead? It was actually the female lead, Zhang Pei. I never expected that before this whole sweet romance story even kicked off, the female lead was just a frail little girl swimming in an oversized school uniform. Then, as she kept talking, I finally pieced together the whole story. Turns out, Duoduo has a major crush on a boy named Su Jingchen. But that same boy happens to like Shen Yu. Once Duoduo found out about it, she brought her gang to corner my daughter. And Zhang Pei, who just so happens to be Su Jingchen's neighbor, noticed something was off, dug up the truth, and rushed straight over to save the day. But she was still one step too late. By the time she got there, Duoduo's gang had all been taken down. Hearing all of this, I furrowed my brow. None of these events were in the so-called plot. I hadn't noticed them at all. Did they already happen, but just didn't matter much? I shot Shen Yu a glaring look, then walked over to negotiate. I'll cover the medical bills, of course. But, my daughter isn't the one at fault here, and an apology is absolutely required. Right at that moment, a handsome young man strolled in, arrogance written all over his face. He glanced around the room, his eyes finally locking onto Duoduo. The moment he opened his mouth, the scolding began. Duoduo, you are so incredibly immature. If your father finds out about this, he'll be furious. Duoduo's eyes instantly flared with rage. Why are you here? Where is my dad? But the man just gave a patronizing smile. The boss is busy with work. Having me, his assistant, here is exactly the same. Duoduo started trembling all over. Busy with work, again. She clenched her fists so hard that the scabs on the back of her hands split open again, but she just kept her head desperately bowed. She didn't say a single word. Honestly, I thought Duoduo's guardians would be a nightmare to deal with. I was fully prepared to fight them to the bitter end, but to my surprise, they were incredibly cooperative. Everything was handled strictly by the book, doing all the necessary medical checks, giving proper apologies. By the time we finally got out of the hospital, it was pitch black outside. Only Li Shui and Zhang Pei were left in the car, keeping Shen Yu company. I glanced at the three girls in the rearview mirror and just asked them outright. Where do you guys live? Let me drive you home. The two girls immediately got shy, insisting they could just catch a cab. But I wasn't going to take no for an answer. It's way too late, and it's not safe. You girls are only out this late because of Shen Yu. I have to drop you off. Besides, if your parents get mad, at least I'll be there to explain things. I had actually noticed this back at the police station. They were the only two whose parents never showed up. There had to be some difficult family situation going on. especially with Zhang Pei, the future business tycoon, the actual female lead of this whole plot. I couldn't help but be genuinely curious about her. To be able to crawl her way out of the mud, and still have such an incredibly strong moral compass? She was practically a panda-level rarity for a main character. So, even knowing that my daughter was destined to get completely ruined because of her, I never once thought about tearing their friendship apart. The two of them gave me their addresses, and the driver dropped off Li Shui first since she was on the way. A dozen or so minutes later, the car pulled up smoothly in front of a massive villa. I was just about to step out and talk to her parents, but Shen Yu suddenly grabbed my arm. "Don't go," she whispered. Her grandpa is the only one who cares about her. Her parents couldn't care less if she lives or dies. I froze in shock. No wonder they didn't even show up for the parent-teacher meetings. I let out a heavy sigh. The car turned around. About half an hour later, we pulled up to the entrance of a rundown, pitch-black apartment complex. There wasn't even a single streetlight working. Zhang Pei swung her backpack over her shoulder, stepped out of the car, and politely said her goodbyes. "Thank you, sir. See you, Shen Yu." Goodbye. I stared out at the dismal surroundings, and couldn't help but ask, "Are you sure you don't want me to walk you up?" Zhang Pei just gave a soft, reassuring smile. "I'm fine, really." I knew perfectly well that her deadbeat dad was probably at some poker table right now, watching her frail silhouette disappear into the dark hallway. I felt a heavy knot in my chest. Who knew that the moment she went upstairs, the door across the hall opened a crack. Zhang Pei pulled her keys out of her backpack. The sound of the lock turning seemed to startle whoever was behind that door. A second later, it opened a little wider, and Xi Jingchen's face peeked out. He pursed his lips, hesitating, like he wanted to say something but couldn't. "Did Xi Yu walk you home?" Zhang Pei turned her head, her face unreadable in the dim light. "You like Xi Yu?" Xi Jingchen's ears instantly burned bright red. He stammered out, "And no, but you already have a girlfriend." Zhang Pei's gaze was ice cold as she stared right through him. "Duoduo is the one chasing me." I didn't know how to say no. His face went completely pale, but Zhang Pei cut him right off. "Then what about Zhang Yuding?" The second he heard that name, Xi Jingchen swayed, barely able to stand, weakly trying to defend himself. We're not like that." But Zhang Pei wasn't having any of it. She delivered her final ultimatum. "I don't give a damn what kind of relationship you have with anyone. But Xi Yu is off limits for you. Your feelings will only bring her trouble. Stay away from her." With that, she slammed the front door shut, completely shutting him out. Meanwhile, back at Yunding Villa, I snatched up a belt, chasing Xi Yu as she scurried all over the house. Swinging the belt furiously, I yelled, "One minute I tell you no fighting, and the next, you end up at the police station." "But it wasn't my fault." "You still dare to talk back?" "I don't care whose fault it was." "Dad, you're being totally unreasonable. I think you just haven't had your ass whooped enough. Let me give you a complete childhood right here, right now." "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." Off to the side, Shen Youchu quietly shrank back, terrified of catching a stray hit. It wasn't until she saw my movements slow down that she hurried over with a cup of tea. "Dad, you must be tired from all that. Take a break." Xi Yu's eyes went wide, her face full of absolute betrayal. I sat down, holding my aching back, and downed the tea in one gulp. Then I turned to look at Xi Yu. "I know this whole mess wasn't really your fault. But when faced with danger, not only did you not run, you actually brought people to fight back. If it wasn't for the bodyguards I sent to watch over you, someone definitely would have gotten hurt." Xi Yu's head instantly dropped in shame. She already knew that her dad had donated an entire building for her. And she knew about the bodyguards secretly keeping her safe. For a moment, a wave of complicated emotions hit her. Seeing her look so incredibly pitiful, my heart finally softened. "Dad's just angry because you don't take your own safety seriously. I still have 3 of your sisters out there missing. I only have you and Kunkin left by my side. God forbid, if something happened to you too. What would you expect your dad to do?" Those words made tears well up in Xi Yu's eyes. She threw her arms around me, choking on her sobs. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll never get into another fight again." I patted her head. "That's good. Hand in another 800-word reflection tomorrow." Gasp. Xi Yu's crying came to a screeching halt. My eyes held a clear threat. "Got a problem with that?" Xi Yu immediately squeezed out a sincere smile. "No problem. No need to wait for tomorrow. I'll hand it in tonight." I gave a highly satisfied nod. Good girl. Once her emotions settled down, I suddenly asked an unrelated question. "Are you and Zhang Pei close?" Xi Yu froze for a second. "Why are you asking about Zhang Pei, Dad?" She answered honestly, "Well, we're okay, I guess." I weighed my words before speaking. I saw where she lives, and it looks like she's struggling financially. You can ask if she needs any help. Turns out, I wanted to help Zhang Pei get rid of that scumbag father of hers, but Xi Yu misunderstood. She immediately explained, "Zhang Pei is a specially recruited honors student at school. Her tuition is fully covered, and she gets scholarships. I asked her before, and she said she doesn't need help. Since Zhang Pei herself wasn't willing, I didn't push it any further." After all, she isn't my own daughter. And blindly stepping in would only make things awkward. So, I could only remind CU once again. They won't monitor you, they'll only step in when you're in danger. Take them with you wherever you go from now on. Don't let yourself get into dangerous situations. CU nodded heavily. Okay. The next evening, right after I walked out of the lab, I got a message from Wang Hao. Following his location, I drove to a highly private, high-end club in the city center. Once I gave my name, the waiter immediately led the way. I followed behind at a leisurely pace, checking out the surroundings. Things have really changed in 13 years. This place is way classier than the spots she used to hang out at. Right at the door of the private room, just as I was about to push it open. Si Xiaoming, don't tell me you got beaten up by your dad again? The name Si Xiaoming made my hand freeze. I instinctively turned my head. In all the days since I came back, I had only heard her name, but never seen her in person. I really wanted to see what that illegitimate daughter of my wife actually looked like. Through the crack in the door, I only saw a bunch of teenagers drinking, girls leaning in their arms. A scene of absolute indulgence. But the voices in the room were so mixed up, I couldn't figure out who Si Xiaoming was at all. Right at that moment, I had to pull my gaze away, no longer paying attention to next door. As soon as Wang Hao saw me, he stood up immediately and pulled me over. Shen Chen, come here, it's been 13 years, we're not going home tonight until we're hammered. The glass in hand almost spilled, that effortlessly calm expression shattering in an instant. The voice even trembled. Shen Chen? She jumped up suddenly, looking unusually flustered. But I just gave a natural smile. Mushin, Si Chung, long time no see. His face was still as young and handsome, gradually overlapping with the bright, flamboyant boy in her memory. Deep down, Guan Mushin actually felt a rare pang of insecurity. Lu Zicheng, on the other hand, looked at him calmly, his usually ice-cold face finally revealing a trace of real emotion. Long time no see. I sat down next to Wang Hao. After years apart, as four old friends seemed to have endless things to talk about. The distance created by time quietly melted away in our conversation. I couldn't help but sigh. You guys have changed so much. You've all matured a lot. My friends were being pushed forward by time, as if I was the only one left behind. Guan Mushin lowered her eyes, downing her drink glass after glass. Shen Chen, you're just as young as we remember. Compared to you, we're all getting old. I couldn't help but have a few more drinks too, joking with a laugh. You call that old? My daughter is already 18. In a few more years, I could even be a grandpa. While you two are still flying solo. As soon as I said that, Wang Hao and Lu Zicheng subtly glanced at Guan Mushin. It was only after I disappeared that they found out she had always been secretly in love with me. Just one step too late, and her confession could never be spoken. She could only watch helplessly as a man she loved started a family with someone else. But Guan Mushin acted as if she didn't even notice their looks. She smiled and chimed in. It's true though, you've always been one step ahead of everyone our age since we were kids. We couldn't catch up to you even if we tried. While others were still in school, he skipped grades, graduated early, and swept up countless competition awards. He was even personally invited by academician Zhang, all because of a single paper. And got an exceptional promotion into the Haicheng Research Institute. Not only was he ahead in his career, but in marriage and having kids too. He totally left us in the dust. Even now, Guan Mushin still remembered the crushing heartbreak she felt when she received his wedding invitation. But I just smiled proudly, waving my hand modestly. Keep it low-key. Guan Mushin just loved seeing this smug, confident look of his. Like a Persian cat showing off its trophy. A smile spilled from the corners of her lips. It was only then that she realized the joy of reuniting had long overpowered the bitterness of her secret crush. From now on, she would only be his best friend. She would never cross the line. Unless... Guan Mushin's eyes darkened. Si Zhaozhao actually went and had an illegitimate daughter. She refused to believe Shen Chen was so love-blind that he'd tolerate absolutely anything. I looked at myself in the mirror, the smile slowly fading away, leaving only cold clarity. I was terrified that the truth would completely crush the kid. I was even more afraid that my overflowing love would become a burden to her. So, I fought back the urge to reunite with her immediately, deciding to take it slow. I had to let her accept me bit by bit. That bastard Bai Yuntao dared to torment my daughter like this. He better be ready to pay the price. And the Si family. Si Xiaoming had suffered so much abuse in the Si family since she was a little girl. This debt, I'm going to make them pay for every single thing. And that precious female lead, Si Qianqin, she's not getting away with this either. Whenever people bullied Si Xiaoming, she just stood by and watched. But the second Xiaoming fought back, she'd immediately jump in to play peacemaker. That was practically a green light for everyone else. Like saying, even the heir to the Si family hates Si Xiaoming. So naturally, those people just bullied her even worse. Well, I hold a serious grudge. If my little girl was suffering out there while I was in the dark, then to hell with playing the good guy. If I have to be the villain, I'll play it to the bitter end. Once I go up against the C family, even if I can't crush them completely, I will absolutely bleed them dry. When the time comes, I'm going to rip a massive chunk of flesh right off their bones. Consider it compensation for my daughter. And as for Bai Yuntao, he better pray he never falls into my hands. I splashed some cold water on my face, and looked over at Wang Hao, forcing my voice to sound calm. How, do you have any hair gel and cologne? Wang Hao let out a huge sigh of relief and nodded frantically. Yeah, I brought some. It's in the booth. Let me borrow them. I stared at my disheveled reflection in the mirror. My eyes were bloodshot, and my hair was a total mess. I couldn't let my eldest daughter see me like this on our very first meeting. Walking back to our booth, I subconsciously glanced at the VIP room next door. But the door was already shut. When Guan Mushin and Lu Zicheng saw the state I was in. Shen Chen, who the hell messed with you? Guan Mushin clenched his fists, his face completely full of worry. It's nothing, I shook my head. Brushing it off, I just ran into an old acquaintance. I'll be heading out first in a bit. Right after that, I grabbed the hair gel and cologne and started fixing myself up. About 10 minutes later, I stood outside the door of the next booth and took a deep breath. I turned the handle. The wealthy girls partying inside instantly stopped and held their breath. I was wearing a beige casual suit, radiating a mature, elegant vibe. I swept my gaze across the room and instantly locked onto the young girl drinking in the corner. Si Xiaoming. She lazily lifted her eyes. Our eyes met completely off guard. In that split second, I could clearly see the shock in her eyes, but it vanished just as quickly. She slipped right back into that slouchy, rebellious posture of hers, leaning back against the sofa. With a slight, mocking smirk on her lips, she just let me stare at her. I raised my hand, right on the verge of calling her name. But the words got completely stuck on my lips, and instead, it came out as, "Hey, you edgy little kid." The moment the words left my mouth, I immediately face-palmed. My calm, loving father image had completely crumbled to dust. Si Xiaoming raised an eyebrow, looking left and right. Finally, she pointed at herself in pure disbelief. "Are you talking to me?" One of the rich girls next to her slapped her own thigh, laughing wildly. "Oh my god, you actually followed Xiaoming all the way here?" She bumped Xiaoming's shoulder. "A handsome, classy older guy. He's making such a bold move, you better just go for it." "Piss off," Xiaoming snapped, shooting her an annoyed glare. A second later, she looked at me nonchalantly. The glass in her hand swirled lazily, looking like it was going to spill at any moment. "You need something?" I decided to just drop the whole mature act. I walked straight over and sat down beside her, letting my gaze slowly sweep across her face. "Well, you know how it is. I've never had a daughter, so, would you want to be my daughter?" Instantly, the sound of people spitting out their drinks echoed all around the private room, followed immediately by uncontrollable, roaring laughter. Si Xiaoming's face instantly dropped. She glared at me through gritted teeth, forcing out every single word. "What did you just say?" Someone was laughing so hard they were slapping their thigh. "This guy lose a game of truth or dare and come mess with our Xiaoming?" The rich kids around us, hearing this, instantly caught on to the idea. It was the only explanation that made sense. But for Si Xiaoming, hearing the wild laughter ringing in her ears, she just found it incredibly annoying. I immediately put on my best parental tone, looking at her with nothing but pure, loving affection. "What's so funny about that? I'm 40 years old this year. Is it really that weird for me to have an 18-year-old daughter?" But the crowd just laughed even louder. Seriously, no one believes the truth these days. I turned to look at my daughter. Even though I wasn't planning on making our relationship public just yet, I absolutely couldn't just stand by and watch her be miserable. And so, I decided to take a more indirect approach. I looked over at the wealthy girls playing pool nearby, lifted my chin, and looked right at Si Xiaoming. "Do you know how to play?" Si Xiaoming didn't even bat an eyelid. "You wanna play with me? I don't just play with anybody, you know." I leaned in close to her. "Anyone can talk big. Do you dare to play a game against me?" That finally sparked a little interest in her. "Play for what? Just don't come crying and hugging me when you lose." I reached out and gently patted her cheek. My tone turned threatening. "You'd better forget about that. Or don't blame me when I sneak into your room and assassinate you in the middle of the night." She scrunched up her cheek like it tickled, stood up looking a bit awkward, and slowly strolled over to the pool table. She grabbed a pool cue, while the crowd of onlookers craned their necks to watch the show. I looked around the room with an amused smirk. My voice was loud and clear. "If we're gonna play, we definitely need to place a bet to make things interesting. Don't you think?" Si Xiaoming casually rolled up her sleeves, revealing her pale, slender forearms. She was giving off this totally effortless, lazy vibe. She glanced up at me. "What do you wanna bet? If you lose, from now on, whenever you see me, you have to call me Dad." I blurted out without a second thought. The entire room went dead silent. Everyone gasped in shock. Si Xiaoming dropped her playful attitude, a cold, dangerous glint flashing in her eyes. "Are you serious?" Everyone in the room knew about Si Xiaoming's family background, and they all knew exactly how much she despised her deadbeat dad. But I acted like I was completely oblivious to her dark expression. I just threw my hands up in the air and sighed helplessly. Yeah, I am. I lost a game of truth or dare. What else am I supposed to do? Si Xiaoming let out a scoff, completely infuriated but finding it funny at the same time. That freezing tension instantly vanished from the air. A spark of dangerous amusement flared up in her eyes. Fine then, since you want to play, I'll play along to the very end. But if you lose, you have to be my assistant for a whole month. Waiting on me hand and foot every single day. I actually felt a shameful thrill at the thought. Spending an entire month together up close. No way. I quickly shook the thought from my head. I can't let a small distraction ruin the bigger plan. I cleared my throat softly. Alright, it's a deal, but my eyes were drawn to that faint scar just below her collarbone. My heart gave a sudden, painful lurch. The book mentioned she tried to end things so many times. Was this scar from the nightmare of her childhood, or a mark she left by her own hand? And hidden right beneath that delicate little watch on her wrist were even more marks she had inflicted on herself. Staring at me like that, completely captivated by my charm, huh? Si Xiaoming waved her hand right in front of my face. Just admit defeat right now, and I won't hold it against you. I snapped back to reality and grabbed the pool cue. Today, I'm absolutely making you call me daddy. I leaned over the table, my eyes turning instantly sharp. Smack. A crisp crack echoed as the red ball sank straight into the pocket. The white ball rolled to a stop at a wicked angle, lined up perfectly to take out the black. The mocking cheers around us died instantly. Si Xiaoming raised an eyebrow, careless smirk fading from her eyes. For the rest of the game, the VIP room was filled with nothing but the sharp cracks of the cue and balls dropping into pockets. Even though it had been years and I was pretty rusty, I've always had a natural gift for math, habitually running the angles and impact points in my head. Every shot felt smoother than the last. When that final ball dropped cleanly into the pocket, the entire room fell dead silent. I let out a long breath, flashing her a wicked grin. My voice dripped with arrogant triumph. Well, little girl, let's hear you call me daddy. Hiss. Someone in the room drew in a sharp breath. You could hear a pin drop in that room. Si Xiaoming's face looked absolutely furious. She never imagined she'd lose to a total drunk. That's right. She hadn't forgotten just how hammered I was earlier, literally throwing myself at her and sobbing the second we met. I casually strolled up to her and playfully ruffled her hair, secretly snagging a single strand of hair while my smile grew softer and softer. I leaned in close, dropping my voice to a whisper right by her ear. Just call me daddy, and I'll hand over the entire C Corporation to you as a little welcoming gift. How does that sound? Si Xiaoming's expression completely shifted. Who the hell are you? My face didn't betray a thing. I quietly slipped that strand of hair into my pocket, keeping my gaze perfectly patient. Don't be mad, sweetie. All you need to remember is that daddy is doing all of this for your own good. So, do you like your present? She glared at me, trying to figure out if I was completely full of it. I could see my own reflection in her dark eyes. I tilted my head and casually added, if that's not enough, I could always carve another pound of flesh right out of the C family for you. We'll snatch those shares right out of Si Qianqian's greedy little hands. I held her gaze, my voice dripping with temptation. Is that enough sincerity for you? A ripple went through Si Xiaoming's calm facade. Why the hell should I trust you? I tilted my head, thinking for a second. By the day after tomorrow, at the latest. Your grandpa will give you a call. I'll have the old man bring you right into the company. Can you trust me now? All the defenses in her eyes completely melted away. Those rebellious eyes were now filled with total seriousness. After a long pause, her lips parted slightly. Dad, she didn't give a damn about the C family, but she hated them. Especially that two-faced bitch, Si Qianqian. I smiled. I laughed so hard that tears came to my eyes, and I pulled her into a tight hug. Teasing her, I said, I think I like it better when you call me daddy. Si Xiaoming wasn't used to being hugged at all. Her whole body went stiff. Don't push your luck. I decided to play dirty. I want to push my luck. Are you gonna let me? Si Xiaoming reluctantly squeezed the word out of her throat. Daddy. The moment she said it, she looked completely uncomfortable. She hadn't used that word in over 10 years. Yet right now, she was saying it to a strange woman. I let go of her. I grabbed her phone, twisting my body to dodge her hand as she tried to snatch it back. I used her face to unlock the screen and added my number. I set my contact name to something super cheesy. Dearest Daddy. Si Xiaoming was completely speechless. Right after that, I pulled out my own phone and typed a single word into her contact name. Brat. Si Xiaoming flared up. Who the hell are you calling a brat? I patted her long hair. Be a good brat. The crowd watching the drama unfold had already turned to stone. From the exact second Si Xiaoming called me dad, they were completely frozen. With our numbers swapped, I got ready to leave. Right before I left, I cupped her face in my hands. I stared right into her eyes, speaking slowly and seriously. Baby, daddy loves you. After saying that, I pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. Without waiting for her to react, I turned around effortlessly, leaving behind just one muttered sentence. Man, back in the day, seeing a beautiful girl made me want to take her by force. Now, I just want to take them home and baby them. Time really changes a person, huh? Si Xiaoming stood completely frozen in place. It felt like the warmth was still lingering on her forehead. This feeling of being treated like an absolute treasure, it was a luxury she had never experienced before. Her heart took a massive hit. It felt painfully tight, yet overwhelmingly warm. The tips of her ears quickly burned red, and her eyes held a rare, dazed look. It was just like the dreams she had when she was little. The dad in her dreams was exactly this gentle. But when she woke up, there was only cold, hard reality. Xiaoming? They're already long gone. Why are you still staring? Someone next to her nudged her arm. Someone else was completely lost. Are they role-playing or something? Did we just become a part of their kink? A wealthy heiress rubbed her chin, deep in thought. It doesn't look like it. The way that guy looked at Xiaoming reminded me of my own dad. She was seriously treating Xiaoming like her daughter. The crowd was stunned. But that dude looks like he's barely a few years older than us. How could someone this young have a daughter this old? They just couldn't wrap their heads around it. And they were absolutely shell-shocked. She just went out for a bit and somehow came back with a new dad. What kind of crazy plot twist was this? The world really had gone completely insane, turning into something they didn't even recognize anymore. Meanwhile, it finally dawned on Si Xiaoming. She realized she didn't even know her new dad's name yet. Other than a phone number, she knew absolutely nothing about this guy. By the time I got home, it was already past midnight. I noticed a small lamp was still on in the living room. Shen Youchu and Si Yu were sprawled out on the couch, totally dead to the world with zero grace. Suddenly, Si Yu gave a hard kick in her sleep. Shen Youchu rolled right off and tumbled onto the rug. In that instant, I finally understood why Shen Youchu never wanted to share a bed with Si Yu. Rubbing her lower back, Shen Youchu squinted blearily at me, her sleepiness vanishing in a second. Dad, you're back? My voice was hoarse. Why are you two sleeping out here? Si Yu sat up groggily too, a few strands of messy hair sticking straight up from her head. She muttered a sleepy complaint. Dad, we waited for you for ages. Why are you home so late? I ran into a bit of trouble tonight. I took the opportunity to break the news. Starting tomorrow, I'm arranging for Si Xiaoming to join the Si family's company. Si Yu gave a vague, sleepy nod at first. Then she practically jumped 3 feet in the air. Wait, what? Shen Youchu was just as confused. Dad, did you meet with Si Xiaoming tonight? I looked at the two of them, especially at Si Yu, who was an absolute blabbermouth. I gave them a simple explanation. The Si family crossed me. Putting Si Xiaoming in their company is just part of my plan. I'm going to use her to tear the Si family apart. Si Yu instantly bristled like a startled cat. Does the Si family have a death wish? Second sister, you need to crush their company right this second. Shen Youchu, however, remained much calmer. What exactly did the Si family do? You can tell me all the details, Dad. Let me handle them. However, I dropped an even bigger bombshell. I have a lead on your oldest sister. I looked at them, blending truth with a bit of a bluff. The Si family bullied your oldest sister in the past. But we'll talk about that later. For now, we're just going to collect some interest. When the time comes, I'll need you and Si Xiaoming to work together. Shen Youchu immediately frowned. Is Si Xiaoming reliable? The people in the Si family are still her flesh and blood. At the mention of flesh and blood, my expression turned ice cold. Don't worry, Si Xiaoming hates the Si family just as much. We share a common enemy. I gently patted Shen Yuchu's shoulder. Trust me, the Si family isn't going to fall into the hands of an outsider. I've discovered that your oldest sister actually has a real knack for business. Once all of this is over, I'm handing the Si family over to her. Shen Youchu finally let out a sigh of relief. It was as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Then, what exactly is going on with our oldest sister? It's not the right time to talk about it yet. Once we finish dealing with this mess, I'll tell you everything. Out of her absolute trust in me, Shen Youchu simply nodded. Okay, Si Yu, who hadn't gotten a word in edgewise, raised her hand shyly. If you guys need any help, you can tell me too. I can totally help brainstorm. The moment she thought about our big sister being brought back and taking over the company, she instantly felt a wave of relief. With 2 older sisters to provide for her in the future, she could finally go back to being a lazy little princess who just eats, drinks, and has fun. I casually praised her. My sweet Tuan Tuan and Wan Wan are both doing great. Si Yu perked up excitedly. She trotted eagerly into the kitchen. Dad, wait right here. I made some hangover soup specially for you. I'll go bring it out right now. I chuckled softly. Alright. Shen Youchu, on the other hand, reached out and gently massaged my temples. Dad, let me rub your head for a bit. All the exhaustion from the night before felt like it was instantly washed away. However, the next day, I didn't rush over to see old man Si. First, I took the strand of hair I'd secretly plucked last night straight to the DNA testing center. I had to be absolutely sure that Si Xiaoming was my biological daughter. Only then could I confront the old man, but the results wouldn't be out for a while. So, I headed back to the lab first. Who would have thought? The moment I stepped into the research institute, I immediately noticed my colleagues looking at me with really strange expressions. I just brushed it off and walked straight to my own lab. Seeing that the meeting was about to start, my assistant had no choice but to interrupt me. Mr. Shen, the meeting is starting any minute now. The director is taking this very seriously. I glanced at the time and continued taking notes. I know. I'll head over as soon as I finish wrapping up this report. Half an hour later, I walked into the conference room with my files, and there wasn't a single empty seat left. Not only were my colleagues from the institute there, but also the professor teams from Haicheng University and Huacheng University. Even the higher-ups we rarely ever see were tuned in on a video call. My mentor, academician Zhang, looked at me with eyes full of immense pride and relief. Has there been any progress on your project? I nodded. I waved the report in my hand. While running some screens, I noticed one of the derivatives behaving very strangely. After tracing its molecular structure, I discovered that it's a completely new substance, one that's never been documented before. You discovered a brand new substance? A flash of genuine shock crossed Zhang Ling's eyes. I confirmed it in a low voice. Yes, I did. Live animal trials confirm that this new substance has a massive activation effect on reproductive functions. It's just that, right now, the side effects are way too severe. Zhang Ling nodded enthusiastically. Send me your data right after the meeting. I strongly suggest you move your work to the lab at Haicheng University. The facility over there is much larger, and your senior can even assign a few grad students to help you out. I gave a faint smile. Alright, thank you for looking out for me, Professor. The meeting kicked off shortly after. Director Ma, with his graying hair, was giving a speech at the front. But down in the audience, Lu Yan was sitting in the corner, her nails digging so hard into her palms they almost drew blood. She wasn't even qualified to be at this meeting. She had only gotten in to observe by begging her mentor. She never expected me to be sitting so openly and proudly at the main conference table. And to make matters worse, as soon as Director Ma wrapped up his report, he actually started showering me with praise. Every word he said showed just how incredibly vital my project was. How is this fair? Lu Yan was seething with toxic jealousy. This guy was just a fraud who used his rich backer to cheat his way in. What right did he have to hog all these top-tier resources? Right at that moment, Director Ma spoke with confidence. This time, we will be focusing on training our new talent. I will be representing our institute at Haicheng University. I refuse to accept this. Lu Yan couldn't hold back any longer. She slammed her hand on the table and shot up from her seat. In an instant, every single eye in the room was fixed right on her. Director Ma adjusted his glasses and looked at her. And you are? Lu Yan's face flushed beet red. She never expected that the director wouldn't even recognize her. She had no choice but to explain. I'm Lu Yan, a junior researcher here at the institute. Director Ma nodded. He asked calmly, so, you stood up because you have something to say? Yet Director Ma wasn't angry at all. He just looked at Lu Yan with total calm. But out of nowhere, Lu Yan pointed her spear right at me, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I'm sure everyone here has seen that photo by now. And I think, the most important thing for a researcher is actual ability, not relying on a sugar mommy to get in through the back door. It is an absolute disgrace to the scientific community. She paused for a moment. Putting on a wildly self-righteous look, she continued, sending someone with absolutely zero qualifications to Haicheng University. Isn't that just a massive embarrassment for our institute? What do you think, Researcher Shu? And what about that photo? I frowned. Someone took pictures of me without me knowing? I gave her a cold, dismissive glance, entirely too bothered to even open my mouth. Director Ma was completely lost too. He pushed up his glasses and asked her, what photo exactly are you talking about? Lu Yan immediately unlocked her phone and handed it over to him. Someone posted it anonymously on the academic forum. It was a picture of me, linking arms with a woman as I got into a Maybach. Right outside the entrance of the institute. So, do you have anything to say for yourself? The entire room erupted into whispers. Every single eye instantly locked onto me. People who didn't even know me were staring with absolute disgust. I took one single look at the photo, then calmly pushed the phone right back. Isn't that just my daughter picking me up from work the other day? I said, my voice ice cold. You need actual proof before making claims like that. One single picture doesn't prove a damn thing. Right at that moment, my mentor, Zhang Ling, completely blew her top. You have the nerve to spread vicious rumors in public over one stupid picture? If you had just lifted a finger to search online, you wouldn't have made such an absolute fool of yourself. Clearly, she had recognized the person in the photo too. Lu Yan instantly started panicking. Wait, how did things take this turn? Weren't they supposed to be tearing him apart for faking his research? Why was everyone suddenly turning against her? She scrambled to defend herself. Don't try to change the subject. I just joined this institute. So why does he get to be directly in charge of a major project? There's absolutely something shady going on here. Ahem. Director Ma cleared his throat loudly, cutting her off entirely. Listen here, Xiao Lu. Let's put everything else aside for a second and just look at his actual achievements. Before he was even 20 years old, He had already published multiple papers in top-tier journals, and was being fiercely headhunted by the absolute best scholars in our field. He graduated with his PhD at 21 and was already heavily involved in major national projects. If he hadn't run into an unexpected accident, he would have received his senior title a long time ago. Now that he's finally returned, this new project was personally proposed by him, which is exactly why he is leading it. His capability is utterly beyond question. Hearing this, Lu Yan's mind went completely blank, her eyes wide with absolute disbelief. How is that even possible? He's just a junior researcher. The professor beside her looked absolutely furious. Yet, as if grasping at straws, Lu Yan grabbed her phone again, pointing at the screen and screaming, "Then him sleeping with his sugar mommy can't be fake, right? I bet all his past achievements were just bought with her money." She actually sounded so self-righteous. Acting like she had caught me red-handed, she added, "Just the other day, I even saw him and Ning Shi getting all cozy with each other. Who knows how many beds he had to crawl into just to get where he is today." That did it. I quickly stepped forward to support her. "Professor, please, don't be angry. As for me and Ning Shi, you know us better than anyone, don't you?" Professor Zhang Ling had never married. She devoted her entire life to her research and to us, her two students. Ning Shi wasn't at the meeting today, so Lu Yan completely misunderstood, thinking the professor was furious at Ning Zai's behavior. She even had the nerve to pretend to care, saying, "Academician Zhang, please don't get too upset. The blame falls entirely on Shen Chen. I highly recommend firing him immediately." The conference room instantly broke out in whispers. As researchers, there was nothing they despised more than academic fraud. Even if they didn't believe her completely, the seed of doubt had already been planted. I decided to just rip the band-aid off. The woman in that photo is my daughter. She was just picking me up from work. And as for Ning Shi and me, do you have any actual proof? Spreading baseless rumors like this can land you in serious legal trouble. Lu Yan froze for a second, then immediately snapped back, looking like she wanted to nail me to a cross. "You think we're idiots? You're only in your 20s. How on earth could you have a daughter that old? That is the most pathetic excuse I've ever heard." She shrieked, pointing at me, "If you're really such a genius, how come nobody has ever heard of you? At the end of the day, you only got into this institute because of your sugar mommy." Right at that moment, Professor Zhang slammed her hand on the table. "Ning Shi and Shen Chen are both my students. I know their character better than anyone else here. The woman in that photo is the CEO of the Shen Group, and yes, she is Shen Chen's biological daughter. Look it up online if you don't believe me. It's all public record." She pointed a trembling finger at Lu Yan, her voice dropping to a dead cold tone. "You call yourself a researcher? Have you completely forgotten what it means to seek the truth based on facts?" Hearing this, all the color drained from Lu Yan's face. He's your student? How is that even possible?" It suddenly clicked in her head, the legendary boy genius who had vanished without a trace years ago. If he was that prodigy, then everything suddenly made perfect sense. But as she stared intensely at my face, she just couldn't bring herself to believe it. That young genius from back then would have to be at least 40 years old by now. Yet, I didn't have a single wrinkle on my face. Ignoring her completely, I didn't even give her a second glance. I walked straight up to the front of the room and calmly pulled up my presentation. "She's right about one thing," I said smoothly. "Results speak louder than words. So, let me show everyone right here, right now, exactly what I'm capable of. And why I belong at the Haicheng Research Institute." The entire conference room fell dead silent. Everyone's eyes were glued to me, but the moment I opened that file, Lu Yan lost all the color in her face. I stood on that stage, radiating confidence. My voice was calm and clear. "Regarding the research and development of the multi-gestation hormone, I actually started this work 20 years ago. And right now, we've made some major breakthroughs." As soon as I said that, the crowd went from initial skepticism to being completely captivated. When I clicked to the final slide, I shot a cryptic glance at Lu Yan, whose face was completely ashen. My voice turned icy. "Recently, I noticed someone has been flipping through the lab logs. Some crucial parameters were even altered. Because of that, I made sure to digitally back up and encrypt all the core data. Otherwise, all my hard work would have completely gone down the drain." My eyes pinned Lu Yan down like a pair of cold steel nails. "Researcher Lu, if you're so interested in my experimental methods, next time, you can just come directly to me. Oh, and if you're curious about my daughter too, I wouldn't mind introducing you to." At that moment, it clicked for everyone. Not only had Lu Yan been dragging my private life through the mud, but she actually tried to destroy my experimental data. Everyone in that room was a researcher. The mere thought of having their own life's work trashed like that made them glare at Lu Yan with pure fury. Lu Yan's body trembled slightly. She glared at me like she wanted to eat me alive, but she couldn't spit out a single word. Having wrapped up my presentation, I stepped right off the stage and walked over to her. I tapped my finger lightly on her desk. She stared at me, probably thinking I still wasn't done with her, but I just raised my hand and clicked the remote. The screen instantly switched to the paper she had just published not too long ago. Researcher Lu, care to explain to me why a paper I published 20 years ago suddenly became yours, just by swapping out a few words? In that split second, only 2 words echoed in Lu Yan's mind. I'm doomed. She was completely finished. Who would have ever thought that borrowing from a 20-year-old paper would get her caught red-handed by the original author? Director Ma looked absolutely shocked, and Lu Yan's mentor went deathly pale. Finally, Director Ma's face turned icy. He ordered her out immediately. This incident severely corrupts the integrity of our institute. We will be dealing out strict punishments. Hearing that, I just offered a faint smile, grabbed my files, and walked back to my seat. By the time the meeting wrapped up, it was already 12 noon. The way everyone looked at me was filled with utter respect. I followed my mentor out of the conference room. Director Ma hurried over to join us, and the 3 of us grabbed lunch at the institute's cafeteria. At the dining table, Director Ma was still fuming with righteous indignation. Shen Chen, don't you worry. I will absolutely give you a satisfactory resolution for this mess. Professor Zhang Ling was even more furious. The standards for this institute have truly hit rock bottom. They're just letting anybody in nowadays. Old Ma, you really need to do a thorough investigation. Director Ma promised repeatedly, and then reminded me about my upcoming trip to Haicheng University. Professor Zhang Ling chuckled. Well, that's quite a coincidence. Another student of mine, named Shi, happens to be a professor at Haicheng University. With her around, she can definitely look out for you. I nodded in agreement. With my senior sister here, of course I have nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, what happened in the meeting room had already spread across the entire institute. By noon, Lu Yan didn't even dare to show her face. At the same time, everyone saw me having lunch with academician Zhang and Director Ma. We were talking and laughing freely. From then on, the way people looked at me carried a lot more respect and awe. They finally realized that the legendary boy genius, who had gone quiet for 20 years, was truly back. But right after I finished eating, I took out my phone. A text message from the DNA testing center made my heart skip a beat. I took a deep breath, and with trembling fingers, I firmly clicked open the paternity test report. Confirmed as the biological father of Si Xiaoming. Those few words finally let my anxious heart settle down. So, I wrapped up my experiments early that afternoon, and drove straight to the Si family estate. The old man was fishing by the lake. I walked right up to him, and out of nowhere, I said, I saw Si Xiaoming yesterday. The old man's hand jerked. His fishing rod splashed into the water, but he couldn't care less about the fish. He stared at me dead serious. Did she offend you? To his surprise, I just shook my head. What I said next left him completely stunned. Dad, you should take Si Xiaoming on a tour of the company tomorrow. I think the kid has potential. We could try grooming her to be the heir. The old man thought he was hearing things. He asked cautiously, are you in your right mind right now? My face instantly dropped. I'm perfectly in my right mind. The old man shrank his neck, looking both wronged and guilty. But just a few days ago you warned me not to hand the Si family over to her. Without skipping a beat, I shamelessly argued back. I just feel a special connection with the kid. But before I could finish, he cut me off. Cut the crap. I had to quickly change my tune. The kid looks just like Si Zhaozhao. I liked her the moment I laid eyes on her. If we train her well, the sisters will have each other's backs. The old man didn't say a word. He just stared at me intensely. We stared each other down, the air between us growing thick with tension. Finally, he couldn't hold back anymore. He shattered my entire act with a single sentence. You little brat, I've watched you grow up. You've always been petty as hell. You couldn't even stand your own dad's illegitimate son before, but now you're totally fine with your wife's illegitimate daughter? While his imagination was running wild, I just pulled the paternity test out of my pocket and slapped it against his chest. He fumbled to catch it, immediately flipping through the pages as he asked, What is this? I stared right at him. Read it and you'll see. His eyes fell on the words paternity test. His eyelid gave a hard twitch. The very next second, his gaze darted down to the final line, and his fingers completely froze. Confirmed as the biological father of Si Xiaoming. He snapped his head up to look at me. His eyes went wide, his voice trembling. Is this really true? I gave a firm nod. It's true. Si Xiaoming is my biological daughter. She's also Youchu and Saiyu's oldest sister. But the old man still couldn't believe it. How is that even possible? Isn't Si Xiaoming Bai Yuntao's kid? Isn't she a few months younger than Youchu and Saiyue? What on earth is going on? Every time I brought this up, the resentment in my eyes grew deeper. I don't know all the exact details either. But one thing I am absolutely sure of. Bai Yuntao was also at that holiday resort back then. He's the one who stole my oldest girl. I then turned and locked eyes with the old man, forcing him to piece together the missing puzzle pieces from that year. When Bai Yuntao brought the kid to claim her family, you guys only ran a DNA test between Si Xiaoming and Si Zhaozhao, didn't you? I bet you never tested her and Bai Yuntao. Thinking back to that year, the old man felt a chill run down his spine. His son-in-law had suddenly vanished, and his daughter was going crazy searching everywhere for him. His 2 little granddaughters were so terrified they cried all day long. And right in the middle of all that mess, Bai Yuntao showed up at their door holding a baby. His head felt like it was going to explode. That's why back then, they only ran a DNA test between Si Xiaoming and Si Zhaozhao. To any normal person, since Bai Yuntao brought the kid, who would have thought she wasn't his biological daughter? But the moment that test confirmed the bloodline, their already chaotic home turned into a total disaster. The absolute worst time was when Si Zhaozhao was so triggered that she had a total breakdown and completely lost her mind. She actually tried to take her own life, along with little Si Xiaoming. Thank God the old man caught them just in time. Otherwise, it would have been an absolute tragedy right then and there. All these years, they knew perfectly well that Bai Yuntao was abusing the kid, but they just brushed it off, thinking it was because he hadn't officially married into the Si family, and was just taking his anger out on the child. They never in a million years expected that this was the real truth. Thinking about everything Si Xiaoming had been through all these years, and looking at my tense face, the old man let out a heavy sigh in his heart. Then he remembered that Si Zhaozhao had been overseas for almost a month now. It was just about time for her to come back. So, he swallowed his words, deciding to let his daughter handle her own family matters. He was too old to keep meddling in this mess. I took a deep breath, my voice dropping to a cold, hard tone. The Si family has bullied her more than enough all these years. As her father, I have to get justice for my daughter. Getting Si Xiaoming into the company is only step 1. The old man whipped his head around to look at me. Are you trying to crush the Si family? I gave a curt nod. All the suffering Si Xiaoming has endured over the years. It won't be for nothing. The bastards responsible for this must pay the price. I stared at the fish swimming in the water, my voice softening just a bit. You're the only person I've told about this. Please, keep it to yourself for now. Old man C knew I was a man with a plan, so he nodded in agreement. Alright, I won't even breathe a word to your dad. Then, I asked him to tell me everything about Si Xiaoming. I want to know more about my little girl. The old man's heart ached for her. He had always doted on me the most out of all the younger generation. Ever since I married his daughter and we had 5 kids together. He had been absolutely over the moon. Now that he knew Si Xiaoming was my own flesh and blood too, his protective instincts went completely off the charts. The more he thought about it, the more his heart broke for poor Si Xiaoming. Thinking about all the pain the kid went through over the years, he wanted nothing more than to smash the Si family to pieces and tear Bai Yuntao limb from limb. Then, the old man let out a heavy sigh, picked up his fishing rod again, and as he fished, he talked about what Si Xiaoming looked like when she first came to the Si family. She was so frail, with barely an ounce of meat on her bones. We stayed out there until the sun went down. A chilly breeze picked up across the lake, so the 2 of us packed up our catch and headed back. Watching the fish thrashing around in the bucket, the old man's sadness seemed to fade a little. Call Youchu and see you over, too. All of you are staying at the old house for dinner tonight. The staff here really knows how to cook a good fish.